Hello, people. Here I am with Anthony, and we're going to discuss the Isle of Man and oh, sorry, excuse me. Right, sorry about that. Right, okay. So this is we're going to be discussing some refraction issues, and I'm going to quickly introduce people who are not familiar with this. What's going on. Right, so I just wanted to screen share my thingy. Just to bring people who are not familiar with this. God, honestly, I haven't got this organized, have I? Right, so So this is going to be a debate about refraction and where a thing called the Isle of Man, where Ramsey and other places on the Isle of Man are not visible due to refraction. This is a quick introduction for people not familiar with this. Someone called Anthony Riley, who's in the Hangout with me now, went to a place in Great Britain, and which is called the Isle of Man. He went to a place called St. Bees, and he has an interest in, he believes in the flat earth, and he took pictures of, took his P900 to St. Bees in Cumbria and took some video of the Isle of Man, and he took from these cliffs here. This will be appearing on a website, this is what I'm showing you here at some stage in the near future. And he took some video of the Isle of Man from various places on these cliffs. We finally established one of the observation points was here and the other one was up there. And this is some of the video capture that he took of the Isle of Man. There was a picture up here of that's what the Isle of Man actually looks like from St. Bees with a single photograph. But he zoomed into the photograph and he took some pictures like this, and he decided that was proof of the flat earth and thought it was Ireland and things. Which he was shown to be not the case. But today we're discussing what is missing from this picture. Here's the video he took. Now he took, that's the Isle of Man in question, and the particular interest is this area around Ramsey, because in the video that he took here, I'll show you down here, there was a composite composed here. This is a composite of the video shots that he took. These have been put together, and this is a high resolution photograph, and this is the result of composing those pictures he took together. And as you can see, it's a reasonable detail thing, covers quite a lot, and this was mistaken for being Ireland, etc. And what we're discussing in particular is the effect you get here, which you can see. This is sometimes named, I think, by Anthony himself as the nose cone of an aeroplane. What's going on in this space here? Because at this location down here, I'll go to a lower point of this, where I've got the summary of the positions. We might even perhaps discuss this little photograph here at some stage. Right, down here, I've got that wrong bloody document, sorry. Right here. Right, this is an annotated version of the composite photo with where things are. And here is where Ramsey should be on this picture here. There's that nose cone you might have witnessed before, and this location here is Ramsey Dock, and this is below, is only a few meters above sea level, and other people keep on taunting Anthony as to where this is. If you believe in the flat Earth, of course, you should be able to see everything down to the shoreline. Admittedly, we've got a couple of refraction issues, but fundamentally, if it's a flat Earth and you haven't got waves in the way, you should be able to see right down to the shoreline. There should be nothing interfering with that, except for issues of refraction. And so here we should see Ramsey, and we don't. This is a bearing of 250.4 from St. Bees, and that is where Ramsey should be appearing. This is, I think that's Kirk Andreas, and I think there's, it's Ballou is over there. Okay, so it's Kirk and Andreas, it's over there. So the thing we're trying to discuss today is, where's Ramsey gone? And Anthony has a theory that the refraction, it's all hiding in this refraction. I'll go over to this point here to demonstrate the effect that Anthony is interested in. Here we have this nose cone, and it shows very nicely because it slopes down. It gives you the opportunity to see the inversion that occurs in what's called an inferior mirage. I'll quickly show you what that is actually. I am sharing all this, aren't I? Oh bugger, I'm not, am I?
No, I can see it all. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just. Oh, Sam. Okay, right. For a moment there, I thought I wasn't sharing. Great. Okay, I've got the wrong tab. Right. Okay. So yeah, so I'll just show you what an inferior mirage is all about, because it's very interesting mathematically, and myself and someone called Philip have been investigating this, and we're actually hoping to produce a complete 3D model of the Isle of Man with refraction, showing you including the mirage effects, which would be quite sophisticated actually. If we are able to do this, this will be moderately academically valuable. If we're able to get it to work. Philip and I have been working our way through some papers and things on refraction, and he's already done some previous work, and I've been directing him to do something in another particular different way, and he started to do that, and he's come up with some interesting results, and I'm trying to write some code that will match what he's doing, and we'll hopefully get a very nice result where we'll be able to say exactly how big these refraction layers are, and what they are, and where they are, and how big they are, and what they're refracting. Right, I should say that percentage of way. Let me just show you what is an inferior mirage, because a lot of people don't understand what an inferior mirage is, and I need to get the right goddamn bloody window here. Oh, come on, please. That's this one here, right. I had this up here. Inferior mirage. There we go. No, that's not what I wanted. Oh, you little devil. Where have you gone? There we go. Right. So when you have an inferior mirage, I suppose I should really mention the. Damn it! I'm going to have to give you an initial introduction on something else first. Sorry if you're in a rush here, Anthony. I've got to quickly describe what the. I'm going to have to reshare this share. Give me a moment. I'm going to have to go back to what I was showing you before to show you what normally happens in a. Oh, this is the Langnaus lighthouse, which Ramsey identified as being was actually a bush, which he firmly identified as being the Langnaus lighthouse, which is rather amusing.
A bush.
Yes, it turned out to be a bush. The Langnaus. It turned out I can show you this bush if you like.
I'd love to see a reflective bush that was capable of being seen for 34 miles.
Yeah, well, this is the Langnaus. We're not talking about the Morgold lighthouse. We're talking about the Langnaus lighthouse.
No, I'll give you the bush. I'm not interested in the bush.
Yeah, but there's a bush involved that Ramsey firmly identified as the Langnaus lighthouse. But then, of course, being Ramsey, he was wrong. Right, so let's go to the atmospheric. I'll show you what. Right, here is a graph of the atmosphere we have on the Earth's atmosphere, and this is a graph with the height on the left-hand side, and we have three plots on this. The one represents the value of the density, the blue's temperature, the red is pressure. Sorry, the red is density, and the green is pressure. And this is what they do. This is what the atmosphere does generally. This is the standard atmosphere versus altitude. So you can see here, if we set everything to be at ground level as 1, you can then see what they do as we go up, which is going up the vertical axis. Things are reduced going left here. So this is a fraction of the value at ground level. So for instance, we can see here that at 4,000 meters, this is meters on the left hand side, 4,000 meters, for instance, here we can see that the temperature is 0.9 of the temperature at ground level, so it's 9/10 of whatever temperature you've got down at ground level, it'll be 9/10 of 4,000 meters. Obviously, we know this if you go skiing or something. You know it gets colder as you go up, and this is obviously Everest is much colder. Everest is what, I can't remember how many that is in meters. If you go skiing as well, you know that the oxygen reduces, and that's due to the reduction in the density. So here we have the red line is the reduction in density. So for instance, I think if you go to 10,000 feet, that's about 3,000 meters. So you can see here, for instance, 3,000 meters, the density of the air is 8/10 or so of the density at ground level, which means obviously that means you've got 80% of the oxygen concentration. So this is why they, you know, if you go skiing or something, at that sort of height, you would be worried about the and they talk about having sort of a third or whatever of less oxygen at that level. So this is what the atmosphere normally does. This is how it's modeled. This is the standard model, and it behaves like this. And you can see what happens to the temperature, the pressure, and the density. And the refractive quality of the atmosphere is dependent on the density. So it varies. So this red line here is the density, and the refractive quality of the atmosphere changes with the density. Although it's one medium, because it's because it's a compressible fluid, just like at the bottom of a swimming pool, or the pressure down there is much greater. I mean, if you went down to sort of 100 feet or something, anybody who's dived to the bottom of a swimming pool, you can feel the extra pressure that's on you. And similarly, if you obviously go very deep in water, 1,000 feet or something, this is why people suffer from the bends, because you get the extra pressure dissolving what have you. And but water's not compressible, so it doesn't change size. But being a compressible medium does, which means it changes density. The refractive index, which I haven't talked about yet, but the refractive index, that's the bending of light, is dependent on the density. I suppose I should quickly show that going here. Just like now, if I show you this little thing here, this is the refractive thing here. We've seen this before, but so here we go. Here's something with water in it, and removing the water, and you can see here because water is obviously denser than air, it slows down light. The light moves through it more slowly, because refraction is all dependent on the change in the velocity of air in the medium. And so with water, obviously, you can see a difference there. And something similar happens in the atmosphere, because there's a different density in the air. You get these layers in effect in the atmosphere of different density, and they have different refractive qualities. The speed of light at different heights in the atmosphere is different for different heights, and that's dependent on the density of the air. So and ultimately, this is why you get this looming effect, because you get these Snell events. I mean, God, I have to go. I can't seem to be getting more. Anybody knows? Any with above a 12-year-old, you know that light bends in the air, going from one medium to another, as I demonstrated with this thing. That's dependent on Snell's law, and that's dependent on the change in refractive medium. And as with the atmosphere, if you can imagine, this is a case of a Earth with a glass ring around it. If you imagine lots of little layers here of different densities, you get these little refractive effects. But this is all for the standard atmosphere. So, and ultimately, as the atmosphere does this a very, very high resolution, the layers are very thin. The difference is you get very smooth curves. Although there's an each individual Snell refractive event that occurs between the layers. When you have, when they're only an atom thick, they look like a curve to everybody and their mother. So this is what a standard atmosphere does. This is the approximate model, and people who are worrying about atmospheres and things, they don't worry about what happens in the bottom few meters. This is the large scale macro scale effect, and as you can see there, density decreases as you go up, refractive index goes down, therefore you will have looming like that as a standard effect. But the complication is, at the lower level, this isn't the case. Right down at the bottom, this graph doesn't show it, but right down at the bottom, you have a change. The density changes around. It sort of inverts, which I'll show you in something else, which does not follow this graph. So this is the standard graph. This is the approximate. This is the one you use by default. This is what the surveyors and things get their 7 out of 6 from. But if you're going to mess around at the very low levels, within the bottom 4 or 5 meters, you have problems, because you have the ground heating up. That causes an increase in temperature of the air very near the surface. That decreases its density. So the density actually goes down So as you can see, the density increases as you go down, but the very bottom, in the last 4 or 5 meters, if you have a hot day, say on a tarmac road, you will have the density decreasing suddenly as it approaches the surface, and that means that the refractive index goes down as opposed to going up, and then you get these peculiar effects that I'm going to show you in the other thing. We're very nearly onto the subject that we actually wanted to discuss, but I thought it would be useful background knowledge. Let me just show you the graph that I was trying to show you before. Inferior mirage. So what happens here? This is a simulation done. This is using someone here called Andrew Young, who was basing it on some papers and things. Has got a website which he discusses inferior mirages, and he has come up with a model for this, which looks like, I think it's in this one here. Yes, here we go. So that graph that I just showed you before, where it came down, the temperature. This is again height on the left hand side. Now, before I showed you you may recall from what I showed you before that the temperature was a straight line going to at 0 height, but this is actually what happens when you're down to sort of 10 or 20 meters. And as you can see, at 10 meters instead, it's sort of quite straight there. It's following the standard thing down to about 10 meters, but once you start to get down to about 5 or 6, suddenly it goes all slopey, and so the temperature, if you can see my pointer, increases rapidly with decrease in height. Now that actually means that the refractive index of this actually drops dramatically, which means instead of increasing, so all the way down prior to this, the refractive index of the air was increasing. Because of this dramatic increase in temperature, the density decreases and it reduces the refractive index, and then that brings you these effects where so this is the model this guy's got for this particular situation. He is modeling an atmosphere that's doing that, and he's got an object of various distances here showing you how the inferior mirage is got. An inferior mirage just simply means that the mirage or the image is inverted. Mirage means technically in French inverted. If you haven't got something inverted, technically it's not a mirage. You can have looming and towering and other things, but those are technically not mirages. Mirages means that something is inverted. And an inferior mirage means that the inverted thing is below some other part of the image. So this is what this is. If you can see imagine the observer is this point here. This is the eye height of the observer, and these are rays coming out of the observer's eyes here. And this is what the light rays will do. You might think that's a bit odd because you think of light going into the eyes, and indeed that Aristotle got this wrong. He thought that you saw by actually things emerging from your eyes and then hitting objects in some way, and then that was how you detected things. Of course, we know that light in fact comes off objects and goes into the eye. Though apparently Anthony doesn't understand photons, but we might perhaps discuss that. But the best way of modeling it is to say, imagine light rays coming out of the eye, and then what happens to them, and then you can map them onto the things they hit. So this has got a target here. This strange stripy thing is actually a target modeled here, and these are the angles of light rays coming out of the eye, and then seeing where they land. And when you have an inferior mirage, which means that the as I say, the refractive index near the ground is actually less. Unusually for he's working to 3 meters here, but for those 5 meters I showed in that previous graph, you get an inversion, which means that instead of looming, which is the curving around like I showed you before with the looming situation of my planet Earth with the light rays going around, you get the opposite effect. It actually goes up. The light rays actually bend upwards. Instead of bending towards the Earth, they actually bend up, and that means you then get these effects here. You actually get it means that the bottom of the object actually rises up in your sight, and then you actually get duplication. You can actually get, for instance, here you can see a light ray that is going to enter the eye. These are arc-minute angles into the eye. So 4 degrees means that's right. It's 4 arc-minutes. So that means it's 4 arc-minutes above the horizontal. Let's call it the horizontal for the moment. That's 4 arc-minutes. So this is 3 kilometers going along here. And if you imagine that the light ray that enters here, the eye, following this ray here, is very close to this line here. and they actually start off at the same point. So that means that this point here on the target actually appears in two places as far as you're concerned. And so that's why we get a point on the target, which should be the like this. This point here, if you can see my pointer, and this point here are actually the same thing, but they're coming into the eye at two different angles. So same point. So you get what's called this fold. This guy calls it a fold line, but we in these discussions called it an inversion layer from the point where the inversion occurs from here to here. So we call this point here where there's what appears to be a reflection of this around this fold line or mirror line, whatever you want to call it. And so, for instance, here you actually get some parts inverting. So for this is when the image is even further away, and it's got more opportunity to be bent by the curved by the layers, and the curving of the Earth also affects this. So you actually get points that are above one at one point actually inverted, and so that means that as you can see, this say for this point on target here appears at two places, here and here, and you get this result where this is more extreme because it's 4 kilometers away. Again, this is probably quite an extreme. This is why it's getting a bit more bending than we are. It's over the horizon. Yeah, so that's what an inferior mirage is. It's caused by the refractive index near the ground being lower than it should be due to heating, due to a temperature profile. So that's the effect we're getting. So that's what the theory behind it. And this is now we're going to go on to the practice and actually look at the things. And then and I'm then going to talk about where Ramsey's gone, where it should be. And he's going to start to talk about this inversion there, hopefully at some stage. Right. So right, let me go back to this thing. Right, hopefully that's coming up in the, yeah. So this is the simplified thing that everybody uses but doesn't bother to calculate from. And right now we're going to go to example. Where was I down here? Right, let's switch off these guidelines. Why are my guidelines showing? Why are my guidelines showing? Why? I don't understand why it's showing that. That should not be. Oh, thank you. Right. Whew. Right. So that is why here, when we zoom into this video of Anthony's that he took, we get this area here, this reflection of this part of the Isle of Man here, which is Anthony's called the nose cone or something, and you actually get this part here reflected here. So this area here is what we've tended to call the inversion layer, and Anthony believes, as I understand it, he'll explain this in a bit, that's where Ramsey's hiding, because Ramsey is over here, as I was saying earlier. This is on the map. I've identified the Ramsey dock from its bearing, and so you can see from there. I could extend this line from here, makes it a little bit clear, because you see, because it reflects what's above it. Because it reflects what's above it. Reflects what's above it. It's easier to identify when it starts to slope, because these areas, it's just reflecting over here. It's reflecting another more land, because this is all a bit fuzzy and hugely zoomed in. I think Anthony was using a sort of 50-60 zoom, I think, here or something. You are going to just get the land reflected in this bit, but here you can see clearly where that is. And if I bring this line over, you can see where this might go to where Ramsey's indicated, which is here. So in theory, this area here is the inversion layer. But unfortunately for Anthony, when you do the calculations about where the sea level for Ramsey is, it turns out to be down here. That is the sea level for Ramsey. And that is 64 meters. And this height here, I calculated actually earlier, that equates to 15 meters. That distance there. It changes, of course, with distance. This is quite a lot further away than Ramsey. That point there, that's 64 kilometers away. This thing here is, I think, 58. So you can't just work off that distance and say that's what how many meters it is. That it varies depending on, this is something that various flat earthers don't understand because they don't understand perspective. That that distance is an angular distance which changes its effective meter size dependent on what object you're looking at. So it's the angular size is the same, but depending on what you're looking at, because that bit thing there is much further away, that distance is 15 meters. So it's actually quite a bit less here. I haven't calculated that, but this is where the sea level for Ramsey is, and we can do that using some spherical geometry, which I'll perhaps go into later. But that's where the sea level at Ramsey is. That's how much is missing. That's the size of the inversion layer. Do you want to say anything, Anthony?
Are you done?
Yeah, I've effectively done, yeah.
All right. So if we can go to the nose cone of the plane.
Okay.
Ramsey's.
So this is what you're calling the nose cone, isn't it? This is near Kirk, was it Kirk Andreas or something? Yeah.
So all I'd like you to do, Rumpus, is go to Google Earth and find a similar angle of that point.
Okay, let me do that. I've got Google Earth here. I'll share that.
Yep.
Just give me a moment. Right. Can you see Google Earth?
Yeah, keep going.
Great. Okay, yeah. Just sometime just make sure. Right. Okay, so that nose cone is that area there. Is that what you wanted to see, Anthony? That do you?
Yeah, zoom in a bit more so we can get a little bit more.
Okay. Oops, I've gone underwater. Sorry, hold on a moment.
Because I wanted to get the side profile of that nose cone bit.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Zoom in a bit more.
Okay, right. Okay, you want to go all the way over here, do you? That do you?
Just so that we can get enough detail so we can get the profile. Yeah, keep going.
Oh, you want me to go right in? Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's it. Right, that's enough.
Okay.
Right, so I want you to toggle between the two views, that view that you've got on screen and the actual evidence, the composite itself.
I tell you what, I'll screen grab this and I can do that more easily. If you just give me a moment.
Okay.
Copy this image and I'll incorporate that into this thing here. I will.
And just for the audience benefit, what I'm trying to establish is how much land is actually missing using evidence, known tools, and that which we have. So all I'm trying to do is cross-reference the missing pixels or the missing land and get a rough idea of how much we are actually missing. And this is going to contradict and conflict with Rumpus's deduced sea level, not sea level, the deduced shoreline.
Yeah, the shoreline, yeah. Right, it's just.
Are you on two screens?
No, I thought I'd bring them together. Is this not good?
Okay, it's just that I've got Google Earth and I don't see your mouse moving, so I thought you might.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Apologies. Oh, God, yeah, sorry. My problem. Sorry, I thought you could see me manipulating the stuff in the other window. Pardon me.
No.
Right, there we go. So I've just put this this screen grab.
Perfect.
Next. Is that? Should I move this? Makes a little bit.
Yeah, could do with zooming, either shrinking it down to get it similar scale.
Okay, right. Okay, you want me to be similar scale? Okay.
And then zoom in overall.
Okay.
Perfect. That's it.
Okay, let me just make that a bit more. Okay.
Zoom in a bit more.
Okay.
Now, do you see on the evidence below, do you see that there is a flat part that corresponds with a flat part above?
Are you referring to this bit here? Can you see my pointer?
Yeah, that bit there. Do you want to point where that is on the evidence above? On the Google Maps thing?
Yeah, I presume that's that bit there, yeah.
I would agree. So, judging by the amount that remains visible on the evidence, How far would you put down the Google Earth image? Would you say that we are actually seeing?
Right.
Would you say the red line? You see that red line?
The trouble is, I've obviously zoomed the picture below, of course, has been taken from St. Bees and has been zoomed in. This picture we've got above has I've actually moved the camera to this location, which means you're going to have problems. What I could have done, yeah, I could have, if you'd known this is what you want to do, I could have prepared a zoomed in.
What you having by doing that, Rumpus?
Sorry?
Could you itemize any problems that you said that there would be problems? What problems would there be by doing that?
Well, I mean, you're going to get, oh God, there's an echo there. Gosh, can you stop the, right.
A little bit, hang on.
Right. So while you're doing that, when you're oh God, the echo is terrible. So when you move the camera to a much closer location to the object, things move around. So you can't necessarily assume this flat bit here. You know, I'm looking a little bit underneath it, and you can see, for instance, this is curved rather than this is rather flatter. The perspective effects, unfortunately, do make life a little bit difficult. Now, what I could do, I could try and see.
Does that mean you disagree with the identification of the flat spot?
No, I think it's right, but it just means, oh God, the echo, Anthony, you have to do something about the echo.
Let me turn my telly down. Hang
on. No, I don't disagree. That's where it is, but the actual extent of the where that exactly is in the angle, it's but. It's very. What I could have done, I could had I been allowed, if you'd warned me about this, I could have actually prepared a zoomed in version of this.
What do you mean warned you about it? We agreed this morning that.
Okay, no, it's all right. About you know, yeah. Well, okay, you didn't say you wanted to zoom. I could have prepared a correctly zoomed in version of this, but okay, we'll go with this. I mean, it's not. It's going to be wrong, but it's not going to be wrong. But you know, it's not going to be. Shouldn't be hideously wrong. So right. So you're
wrong. How is it going to be wrong?
Well. Given the fact that I've gone up to this, I'm now where I've moved the camera in Google Earth. I'm now, I think, just a few kilometers away from this thing, as opposed to being 64. And I'm also not at the right height.
That doesn't answer how wrong it's going to be, though. How is it going to be wrong?
Right. I mean, you don't understand perspective effects. I mean, you can see, for instance, the shape of this. The shape here is not the same as it is here because of perspective effects. I'm now much closer to this. I'm also not at the right height. I mean, I mean, you could do it as an approximation, but it's not going to be correct. But
right, so let's do it as an approximation.
Yeah, I don't know how. Right, so
as an approximation, Rumpus, how far, as a percentage, would you say the flat spot that we see on the evidence actually is down the mountain? I'm going to suggest that it's 60% of the way down the whole mountain. Would you agree?
Let's have a look. Let's just make this 0.1. Right, so let's. I mean, the only way to do this is to, you see, the way I would try and do this is by saying, because I can see that, and I can see that, I could then say, right now, having if I've been given some time, as I say, to you can do zooming in type effects in Google Earth if you spend long enough at it. I could then.
It's not going to make that much difference. It's going to be a few pixels. All I'm asking you is, where would you put the percentage for the flat spot? Would you say it's...
Yeah, but you see, you do everything visually. I like to be precise about these things and use maths. And the way I would try and do it...
Yeah, I don't like using maths because it's not empirical. Let's do it.
No, it is. No, it's exactly empirical. Instead of me guessing how many pixels there are from there to there, I would look at the screen. Your echo's bad again. I would then work out what this distance was here, given that I could measure that, and then say, okay, how much would that be down from there to there? And then see that as a, but like, I mean, I could try something here, but it's all desperately approximate. Oops. It's all, and then I could say, so I would then say here and here.
Rumpus.
Yeah.
I don't agree it's desperately approximate at all. It's pretty precise. We have identifiable evidence that we can work with.
Well, no, we're basing on this thing here, which is, as I say, going to be
wildly inaccurate, negligent.
Yeah, but the point, yeah, I mean, whereas what I can do is I can be absolutely sure that this is how much you're missing of Ramsey. I can do the maths on there and say that's absolutely without any guessing.
Towards that, but you seem to be moving away from the point that I'm trying to make.
Okay. No, I just want to make. I'm just making.
I'm going to assert that we're 60% of the way down. All the line that we see on the actual evidence, we're 60% of the way down. Would you agree or disagree with 60%?
Yeah, but you're comparing it against this, Anthony, which you don't, which is not correct. Yes, but I've just explained to you that is something very approximate. I don't know how approximate it is because I haven't done it, but it's not going to be correct. Whereas you're happy to make those sorts.
So what you're going to do is put a disclaimer in before we even do it to see.
Well, if I know something's inaccurate, I'm going to say so.
Yeah, and I don't believe that it is inaccurate because
that's because you don't believe in doing anything properly, Anthony. That's the problem. You're
putting a disclaimer in that I don't agree with. It's either something we can work with or it's not.
Well, I know you don't agree with because you don't agree with doing things properly. I would do things that, doing it properly. I could zoom into this. I mean, I could use Peak Finder to do it quickly.
Rumpus, just tell me where you think the bottom part is based on.
Based on this incorrect image which I have here. I could say, right, I mean, if I was trying to do, let's see what the displacement, so let's put a line in here.
Why don't you count the pixels between the two lines on both and do the ratio and work out where
the difference between, the difference, this one here, let's put a line, a vertical line in here. Whoops. Right, so that line there is on my thing. That is 62.7 high resolution pixels. Let's just make sure it's lined up nicely. Let's do a bit of snapping. Right, so that is 64 pixels. So if I were to then
how many pixels?
If I have to repeat that, this is where the thing is here. So that is the same thing. So that
would be a 50-50 mark, and we can see there's a few. So it's about 60% of the total way down. Would you agree?
Well, let's just see. I suppose I could go and that distance there to there. Put that there to there. It's about 50% according to that point there. Well, those two lines are the same height.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go with that. That's fine. So, what we need to now do is go to Google Earth and see the point that represents the lower line on Google Earth, and then what the elevation is roughly, because that'll give us an approximate amount of how much we're missing. Agree?
Well,
basically, it's almost all the way down to the bottom.
Well, no, that can't be right.
Why? Because it doesn't work in favour of your maths.
Oh, then not. The quality of your sound has gone up tremendously. Well done for whatever you changed it to. Right. Well, I could go. Okay, we could go and look in Google Earth.
And pick a point that best represents, in your opinion, that bottom line on Google Earth. So it's from that flat spot. It's kind of 75% of the way to the bottom, maybe 80% of the way to the bottom.
So let me just.
Would you agree?
Why has the quality of your sound improved dramatically and no longer got any echo? Why weren't you doing that before?
I've adopted my technologies based on your requests.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Right. So you're going to claim that
if you've gone back to Google Earth now, I don't see anything.
Okay. I haven't gone back to Google Earth. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. I'll do that. Can you see that? Can you see Google Earth?
Let's have a look. Yes. So zoom back into your mounting front.
Do what?
Zoom back in towards your mounting, the nose cone.
Zoom back in. I mean, is it not zoomed enough? You want me to zoom in? You want me to? Oops.
Yeah, pull forward a bit. Because I want you to pick the point that best represents that 75-80% point, and then tell me what the elevation is.
Which bit do you want me to point this bit? Oh, right, you want me to? Okay, whoops, daisy. Ah, bloody hell, I concentrate. Yes, I was very low down there. That was another reason why I was. Yes, that was.
Yeah, that's okay. Just
hold on.
Just move a bit closer towards it.
Hold on, let me just get.
That's it.
Right. So
now,
the
you need to get lower.
yeah,
so that you get a similar perspective. Right.
right. So that
All
so
we need to do now is what is the elevation of the flat spot in the middle, roughly? Put your cursor in the flat spot in the middle.
yeah. I'm just going to make sure I don't get it confused by. It's there, isn't it? I'll put a little marker there.
What do you get that roughly that elevation at?
That is 145 meters.
Okay, and then pick the point that best represents 75 to 80% of the way down the lower part of that edge, and then tell me what that value is.
Well, yeah,
Come on, 75% of the way down. It's not that difficult to judge.
I got the difference between that and that as it was the difference between that on here with my whoops. Come here.
Come on, Rumpus. All we need is
there. So that was 217. But that was where I think the flat spot was on my approximate thing. Yeah, and that hold on. So that was 217, and sorry, that's 211. This point here is 143.
What's happening here? I'm feeling as though we're being obfuscated. What's going on?
Sorry. Well, I don't. As though we're getting obfuscated. I'm just going back to the. I found, if you remember, you're echoing me again. I'm going back to echoing mode now. If you recall, on my diagram, I showed the approximate thing I was showing in the Google Earth side view was that this was half. This actually that was halfway between that.
Rumpus, I'm not interested in your diagram. I'm interested in the evidence, and I'm interested in what that lower.
Yeah, and I drew it, and I found that the top to the middle point was halfway down to the what we would call the inversion layer thing, wasn't it? Do you remember? I said it was 50%.
Right. You just gave the value of what was the value you just gave of that?
Value at the top was 210 meters, and the value at where the flat spot on the nose cone was 144. So right. Therefore,
75 or 80% of the way down. That's what I want you to do. We can mathematically calculate it if you wish.
Right. Yeah, that's what I would do. So there was a difference here. But on my diagram, when I drew those two straight lines.
I don't care about your diagram.
Yeah, but no, but it was of the photograph. Okay, of Google Earth. Well, no, no, hold on. My diagram. My diagram. There was only. I didn't have two things. I had a picture of what it was in the composite and a Google Earth. Those are the only two things I had. Neither of which is my diagram. So what we found on that was that the height of this point here, the flat spot, which I've pointed out here, was halfway between the top down to the area here.
Point. Let's deal with the baseline.
And I am. Right, look, hold on. Let's go. You seem to
all right. Let's
hold on. Let's go back.
Value in the middle again.
Hold on. The value in the middle was. The value in the middle was. The value in the middle was 144.
No, it wasn't. It was 117 or something. What's the flat spot? Do I have to look it up myself?
Hold on. Here we go. Look. There's the flat spot. There's the flat spot. Right.
Yeah. What's that value there?
Right. The I thing says 143.
143.
Yeah.
Times by 0.75 gives us roughly 107. So we're looking at a difference of 43 plus 7
and the height
is
up
50.
There, and the height up there was what was the height?
So,
give me. No, it's not telling me.
We're missing 150 feet. That's it.
Well, you're not going to be able to pack that into the few pixels you had there, Anthony.
Right, let's try it. So we're looking for 150 feet. Now, can you go back to the evidence?
Well, hold on, let me just check what's 220 meters up there down to that, which was 143. Let me just do a quick calculation.
143.
Oh, this is meters. Remember, this is meters. Don't get confused.
Yeah, that's okay.
Right,
that's okay. So we were 143.
Hold on. Let me
multiply by 0.75.
Hold on. Let's not get before you get all excited. It was 100. What was the height up there? Oh, God damn it! The height up here was 221. Right. So that was 221. And the midpoint height was 143, which is a difference of 78 meters. So there's another 78 meters to come. So the 78 meters would take you, right, so that means that point there is 143. We saw that down to the inversion layer was 78 meters. So 143 minus 78, the 65 meters missing.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Okay, that's 150 feet.
I got it to 47 or something of that nature, but I'll give you 67. That's fine.
So the 65 meters, Anthony.
Yeah, we can agree with that.
Which is about that into feet.
Can we go back to the evidence, Rumpus, please?
Okay, all right. That's so you want me to look at the picture? Is that what you want?
Yeah, the evidence. Yeah. So let's remember that value.
Okay, so you want me? Okay, I'll go back to the. Right, this thing here. That's what you want to see. Is that okay? So
yeah.
So there's so hold on. So what we've just worked out is there is we've just agreed there's 65 meters below. We just agreed using your approach here that the 65 meters from here to here, the 65 meters missing.
Yes, and we're now going to work out where that's gone.
Okay, so that's where the sea level is at. That's where the sea level is at the nose cone down there.
So can you scroll to the right and pull your image to the left so that we go to the right, and let's go to the other side where the water is.
Where do you want me to go over here?
Oh, if you're not, oh yeah, keep going across to the other side.
Okay.
That little grey golden yellow bit, right? That bit there. Stop. So we know what the maximum height is. Can we agree what the maximum height of that cliff face is there? I'm going to say it's 312 feet.
Okay, let me go to Google Earth. I will go and investigate. I can't remember if I did have it on my. I did have that on. I mean, Google Earth, of course, is not. Whoops. We know that Google Earth is not. I think on this actually, it's not too bad. I think it does agree on. This is shallow point. You can't see it, but I'm looking and messing around in Google Earth here.
Yeah, can you get Google Earth on screen so we can see it?
Okay, all right, okay.
Now, what I'm going to try and do is ascertain how much we see based on how many pixels we've got, and then we can agree where the obscurity is.
Right. So this is shallow. This is what you want. Shallow point, is it? Shallow point.
Yeah. So pick the highest value that best suits your position.
Okay.
So whatever number.
73 meters. Oh, actually, I should look at this profile here, shouldn't I?
Yeah, but I mean, with regards to the face of the cliff that we see, you know, that yellowy bit at the front.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Right, the bit at the front. Okay. Well, it goes up to 84 meters, but let's have a quick. That's at 83 there, quite close to the front. You know, it's.
What is it at the front though? Let's pick the value.
Well, I think that's visible, and that's.
Yeah, but I'm right. All I want is the top point of the yellow bit, not the land behind it, just the yellow bit.
Well, but when you look at it, though, that is what you will see. Let's.
What's the value at the top of the yellow?
Well, you're picking the top of the yellow, but it's 80 meters odd.
80 meters, right? So let's look at get in front of it on Google Earth so we can see its picture.
Okay.
That's it. So 83 meters was the top point. Now zoom in a bit so we can make it bigger. Yeah, that's it. So we can roughly see the rough shape of it, right? So 83 meters is the highest point, and obviously sea level would be the lowest point. And obviously, let's assume that the tide's in at 30 meters, 30 feet, sorry, or 10 meters, because we don't have any reference point to go with. So it just makes sense that we'll go with mean sea level on Google Earth, because then the value would be 0.
It looks on this as though it's quite high tide actually, but I mean, I'm not. It only goes by 3 or 4 meters, so I mean, it's not as though it's 3 or 4 meters. So I don't think that's really going to make
a huge difference. Right, now go back to the evidence.
Right. Okay. Hold on. Whoops. I think.
So it's 83 meters to the top of the yellow bit on the front there.
Right.
Now the question.
Okay, hold on. Let me draw that in. So if we say that there, is 83 meters or something like. Oh, well, of course, it's not that, because we're not looking at the hidden. No, that's not 83 meters, because that's the portion that we can see. So that's not 83 meters.
So this is the bit where you and I are going to disagree, but we're going to have to find a common ground so we can do the maths. So
somewhere like that, because I can find what the hidden is. Let me just go and find out what the hidden for that.
Hang on, no, hang on. Let's compare it based on the evidence, not on maths. Let's compare it with what we can actually establish factually with the evidence that we've got to hand. So look at the picture that we have on screen. Look at the shape of it, and look at the contours that go with it. If you flick back to Google Earth, are you able to flick back to Google Earth?
You'll have to. I tell you what, I'll do another screen grab and bring that in. So hold on.
Okay, that's great. That's great. 63 meters, wasn't it?
It was 83 for the height, but you can't see that, of course. So here, if I bring in the.
I'm sure you said it was 63 meters.
No, I never said it was 63.
I'll have 83 meters. That works better for me. I thought it was 63, but I'll take it.
I never said that. This is one of your goldfish memory moments, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's okay. 83 is fine.
Hold on, let me just get this pasted. Oops. Yeah, over here. Let's just get. Whoops. Oh, bugger. Right.
Right. There you go. That's great. Shrink it down a little bit. Excellent. Right. So
I didn't get down to this is from an aerial view. I didn't realize we were going to. So we're looking down on it from here.
Rumpus, we know the maximum height's 83, correct?
Of the but
right.
Let me just check.
What was the value? What was the value that you calculated for how much we were not seeing on the other side?
Okay, hold on.
Can't remember what that value was, because we need to minus that value off the 83.
Right. Ask me that question again.
What was the bit at the bottom? Do you remember when we calculated the 75% and you said
you're referring to this value over here?
Yeah.
The bit here, which was 65 meters.
Right. So we need to take that value off the 83.
Well, no, because this is much further away. That point there is not the same distance away as the shallow points. You can't do that. This is exactly where Ranty gets confused. This is why he thinks he can draw a red line showing the hidden goes a uniform red line. This point here is much, much, much further away than this point over here. So that's what it is. It's a lot further away. Oh, okay. You just quick made a claim. I'll go and do the shallow point. Hold on. Let me just go and.
Hang on. Keep them two values though. 83 and 65 was it?
It's pointless. There's no point. You can't compare hidden values at different distances. This is the point. This is why Ranty draws red lines at angles that are completely meaningless, because he doesn't take into account there are different distances. Shallow point. I will tell you how. Hold on. I'll tell you how far away that is.
65.
It is. It is. Shallow point is 51 kilometers away, 51.7.
That's about 31 miles.
Hold on. And the other point is 61. So there's a difference of, how many is that? God, one was 61.6 kilometers, and the other one was, one was 61.6, the other one was 51. So it's a difference of 15 kilometers. Is that not significant?
Isn't it 10 kilometers?
God.
51 to 61
it's
is 10.
Bloody 15 kilometers different, and you're claiming there's no...
51 to 61 is 10, is it not?
No, 51 to 60, it was 60, hold on. It was 51 to 67, wasn't it? Hold on, I have to write this down.
Well, it's 51 to 61.
Hold on. Let me... Oh, right, 61. Okay, sorry, 61 to 51. Okay, so 10 kilometers.
Right,
that's still huge. I mean, for you to claim that's any way comparable is just ridiculous.
So in that case, if it's not comparable and you don't accept that point, then to compare, I can't make an argument.
Well, Do you not accept there's a 10-kilometer difference between those two? And therefore, it's a completely meaningless comparison. The hidden value is going to be completely different.
Wouldn't it work in your favor, though?
Well, I don't know. I just go and work on what's correct. I don't bother to work out what's in my favor. I work out what's correct. And there's a difference of 10 kilometers in the distance between Sherlock Point from the observer as there is to that nose cone. Right, 10 kilometers, God damn it.
If we can't agree on that point there,
we can't
agree. I accept what you say. I accept what you say. I'm not disagreeing with you. It is a relevant point. How relevant is another question.
Well, I'll tell you what the hidden value is for Sherlock Point. I'll tell you what that is. That was the distance for that was, as we said before, that was 51.7. I'll tell you what the hidden value is for that, and then we can tell. Then we can do a proper comparison. The hidden value at 7.
It doesn't make any difference. It's proportional. It's directly proportional to.
Well, hold on. Well, the best to do. Well, it's not. I don't like to do things. Let's just say so. It's 51. It was 51.7, wasn't it? 51,700. The hidden value was 56. Right. So if I go back to my diagram here, let's just go and change what's zoomed in. What we're looking at. Oh, I'm looking at the right. I'm showing the right thing. Okay, so this distance here is 50. Whoops! What the hell? Oh, it's my bloody cursor. Why the hell? What the Jesus Christ? Right. So this. Oh, God damn you! What the? Hold on. I think it's going all strange here. Why are you doing this to me? Why is my tech? What? I do not understand what's going on there. Let's get rid of that, whatever the hell that was. Right. So, we just go over here. Oh, I thought, oh, goodness knows what happened there. Right. So this distance here is, according to my thing, was a hidden value of 56 meters.
Yeah, well, hang on. We're gonna calculate that now.
Hold on. I'm just doing it. I'm just 56. Yeah, the hidden value at Sherlock Point is 56 meters.
But do you agree that it's 83 in maximum?
Well,
the answer is you have to agree to that. That's yes.
It's 80. Yeah, 84.
Well, 84, 83. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. Yeah, but I haven't. I haven't drawn that to. Yes, because I never got around to drawing this to scale, did I? On this one. That.
Well,
yes.
Hang on. Drawing what to scale?
Hold on. I draw this line. I haven't drawn.
Wait. Forget the line for the minute. Let's put the values in. Do we agree that 83 is the maximum height?
Yeah, the height of those peaks is 84 meters. Let me just check on that. Be absolutely sure. Around this area, 84, 82. I'm just playing around in what? Oh, goddamn thing. Yeah, so I'm just playing around in. It seems to be about 84, yeah.
Come on, Rumpus. I think a meter. You can have.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't like to. Just one last check. Oh, of course. Oh, well, of course. Oh, of course. This is all very oh, I need to go and do this on bloody an Ordnance Survey map because we've been caught up by this. This goes plus or minus 30 meters. So
no, you don't. You don't. All we're doing is it's all in scale. It doesn't matter the values. It's all to scale.
Well, it does matter. Well, hold on. It does matter because I've just used Google. This could be 84 meters. Could be plus or minus 30 meters.
Yeah, but so could the 56 underneath. So
no, it can't. No, it can't. No, it can't. That value has been calculated
using. Said earlier on that it was about right.
Well, the Google Earth we know can be wildly incorrect, and I can't remember how good it is around the shallow point. If you give me a second, I think I went and checked this on the Ordnance Survey. If you give me a moment, I did actually go and.
Yeah, I just realised where I'm going with the bad style by adding the plus or minus 30 meters bullshit.
So Anthony, this is an established fact. This 30 meters. But this value is correct. This value here, the 56 meters, I calculated using refracted hidden, and that we know that the. So in fact, this probably could be a lot more. So let me just hold on. Let me just go and check.
It probably be a lot more.
Oh, it can't. No. No. The size of this. That is 50.
Bullshitting right now.
I'm what?
You're bullshitting the evidence to match your.
No,
maths.
I'm not. No, the 56 meters is correct. That is the hidden value at shellac point. So that means that the distance below the horizon is 56 meters. But I could now, if you give me a moment, I can go and find what this.
No.
I can tell you what this actually is in this size. Hold on. If you just go and give me a moment, I can tell you how big this line is.
No. How many pixels are there between the horizon that's visible and the 84? That's all I want you to measure. Because then we can see how much is actually missing. And then we can work out what should be there.
How many pixels between what and what?
The visible horizon and the top of the cliff.
I missed the start that.
Right.
Say again.
Measure the horizon in number of pixels from the horizon to the top of that cliff.
All right.
We know that we've got 56, 66, 76, 28 meters there.
You want that distance in pixels.
X amount of pixels.
You want that in pixels. I can actually tell you what that is in meters by doing a conversion. Because I can do the calculation. I can actually tell you what that is. That is 34 pixels. Hold on. It's 34 pixels. Or high resolution
34 pixels is 28 meters. Great.
And I can tell you what that is using my calculation here. What that actually is in meters.
If it's not 28, your calculations are wrong.
No, you don't understand how to do this calculation I'm about to do, so you would not be in a position.
I understand how it's working. So
you don't know how to convert between pixels and meters. Given the fact that you didn't even
it right now. You've got how pixels covering 28 meters. That's it.
How we'll do? Okay, we'll cover that a minute while I just go away and I can do this thing. Hold on. Convert pixels to convert pixel coordinates to. Hold on, let me just go.
It's not difficult. Come on.
Hold on. But I'm doing it properly. There's a difference between us.
No, you should have.
Here we are. Right. So the distance this was away was 51. Oh, bugger! Is it just died on me?
It is off.
Oh, bugger! All right. Okay. I think something tried to dar me there. Here we are. 50. The distance to that was 51. Let me get absolutely sure about it. I don't want to cock that up. The distance to the shellac point was, make absolutely sure, it was 51.7. 51.7. Let me just shove that value in. I can tell you 51.
You don't come out with 28 here because you've done the maths wrong.
Well, no, you don't understand how to do the conversion. So, and the number of pixels was 34 high resolution pixels. It's 46 meters.
No, it's 28.
No, it's not.
Right, let's do it again. 84 is the maximum height of the cliff.
Correct? Hold on. Let me just hold on. Before we go into that, I just want to type in here, which equals 46 meters in.
No, that's wrong.
At that distance. That's correct. It's absolutely correct.
Look, we've got 84 meters is the maximum height. You've got obscured of 56.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't drawn. Yeah, but I haven't drawn I haven't drawn this line to scale yet. If you give me a moment, I'll draw this line to scale.
Listen, you've got 84 meters as the maximum height. You've got 56 of that is obscured. 84 less 56 gives you 28. 46 is not 28. The value that you've written in for 46 should be 28. 84 minus 56.
Yes. Okay. Yes, that is. Yes, that is. That is. Yes.
Right. So put your 28 meters in. Come on. 84 less 56 is 28.
Yes. Let me just check on that.
Canal 84 less 56.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just checking on my hidden value and make sure I haven't done something stupid. That was 51,700 using a 7/6. That should be, yeah, that should be 56 meters hidden. And that is 34. That is, but that's 34 pixels there, which should be, unless of course, yeah, it's
Come on.
Yeah, that there isn't.
Right. 84 less 56 is 28. Come on.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that for the moment. But so
right, so 34 pixels is 28 meters. Now go back to the other side and let's work out where Ramsey is and how much we need. So we've got 34 pixels at 28 meters.
Yeah, but Anthony, they're not at the same distance. This is why you get so many things wrong. The shallow point is not at the same distance away as Ramsey.
I agree. We can do it favorable. We can make.
No, we can't. What we can do is what I've done here is we can go and work out what the hidden is at Ramsey, and I know the distance to Ramsey.
Oh, hang on, where are you going?
Oh, we're going to Ramsey. This is where Ramsey is. This is where Ramsey is.
Where Ramsey is.
That is exactly where Ramsey is.
No, it isn't. Ramsey is that we were just working on.
No, we were working on this nose cone. That's nowhere near Ramsey.
It's behind Ramsey.
No, it's not. The Ramsey dock is here.
Right. Go back to the right, Rumpus, because we have a frame of reference that we can work on.
Well, okay. Well, that's not where Ramsey is.
That line there, that lower line, put in 28 pixels. Put in a line at 28 pixels.
You want me to put a line here, 28 pixels? But
yeah,
as I've explained to you before, this thing is 10 kilometers further away than this point. You cannot do what you're trying to do.
Then there's no. I can't. That's the end of the conversation. Then.
Well, I can do the maths and I can do it properly. I don't have a problem at all. Because I can work out.
All right. Well, in that case, Rumpus, that's the end of the conversation. If I can't go any further, then that's the end of it.
Well, okay. So you're just basically ignoring the rules of perspective. That's what you're saying. Is I'm going to ignore trigonometry. I'm going to deny trigonometry. I don't care. There's a 10-kilometer difference between those two. You're just going to ignore that fact and then go ahead with it. This is why you're always completely and utterly wrong. Because you don't take into account perspective and the difference of distances between things. I mean, this is just basic.
Give you an adjustment in favour of your perspective.
Your correct point. You can ignore 10-kilometer difference. Well done.
So So basically, what the adjustment that I was going to give you, you're not prepared to accept.
Absolutely not. You're not ignoring the fact this is 10 kilometers nearer.
So in that case, Rumpus, I can't show you where the missing land is, but it works out perfectly.
No, it doesn't.
Get to it.
Yeah, by ignoring 10 kilometers of land difference. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, I was prepared to give you an adjustment on that fact. You don't want it, fine. But that's the end of the call.
Okay. If you want to ignore 10 kilometers, that's up to you.
No.
Okay, well, we can agree on that then. Then we can end there then.
I was going to give you 2 or 3 pixels, but we can't go any further unless you...
No, not if you can ignore 10 kilometers, no.
No, I was going to give you an adjustment for it.
Well, you don't know how to do that, Anthony.
I was going to give you 2 or 3 pixels.
For instance, do you know what... Could you tell me what the equation for perspective is, for instance? Do you know how to do that? You don't, do you? You've no idea. And that's why you keep on making mistakes. And the fact that you didn't even consider there was a 10-kilometer difference between those 2 points is, again, why you make so many mistakes.
I was prepared to compensate for it.
How? If you don't know how to do that, how can you do that? If you don't know the maths, you can't do it.
you work in a couple of pixels, it's fair that you get a couple of pixels back. If that's not acceptable, then that's the end of the conversation. You win.
Okay, yeah, right. I mean, if you can't do the math, you can't just shove in a couple of pixels somewhere else. You have to have a mathematical justification for it.
If you say so.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Right. I don't know if anybody might open this out to anybody else. If anybody wants to join in, I might make the link available. Let me go to the watch page. Right, just okay. Perhaps I won't make that. Okay, does anybody else want to join in? Okay. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. Come on. I'll give you the link then, Philip. Where's my goddamn bloody? Sorry. Available to a couple of people. Might have an interest. Yes, I mean, I do find that absolutely incredible, absolutely amazing. I'll just ignore there's a 10-kilometer difference. And if you don't understand perspective, then you can't make. I mean, it's so basic. I mean, Jesus Christ, 10 kilometers is 1/5 of the distance to the is 1/5 of the distance of what the Shite point is 4/5 of the distance to the nose cone, and then to just ignore that and then claim that's you can make some compensation without knowing how to do that mathematically is just incredible. Hello.
Hey.
Hi, Philip.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, quite. I sometimes it's just a bit too sometimes you just don't believe things can happen. I need a drink actually. Sorry, I don't know.
So is he claiming that that 65 feet near the nose cone is being hidden, or sorry, 65 meters I should say, right? Is hidden by an inversion layer?
Well, that was the original claim, but I mean, then he moved on to claiming that the horizon was in the wrong place. This originally, I mean, I thought what he was going to say was, at one point, I put it to him that he's trying to claim that the whole of Ramsey, or because Ramsey's over here, but and much closer. This is I've got 64 meters hidden here. Okay, this one is 65 meters because it's further away. He was originally, I think about 2 weeks ago, he said that Ramsey he claimed there was only a few feet missing here between that Ramsey was below, but of course he didn't use the hidden value correctly. So I then thought, so he did that, made that error first of all. He thought was less than 60. So he did agree there was 65 meters missing. Actually, in Ramsey, let's go because I was getting confused. Ramsey's over here. At 64 meters hidden. I must go and check that actually. The difference between Ramsey and the Kirk Andreas, which is here, all that nose cone, is much less than the difference to Shallot Point. But yeah, so he was this is where Ramsey Dock is here. I mean, he got that wrong as well. he was at one point saying that it was because there was only a little bit of Ramsey. He hadn't worked out, I don't think, how much Ramsey was missing. So he then claimed that all of Ramsey was hiding in this inversion layer, which, you know, we can see there's an inversion layer here. And then he changed, I think about 2 weeks ago, when they all went, when suddenly the flat earthers flipped about refraction, and they said, oh, we've denied refraction up till now, but suddenly Anthony claimed that the apparent horizon was not where it's different from the actual horizon, and in fact this is much higher up, and it's not appearing where it should be. And then Nathan and Riley then said, okay, so this horizon's not really there, it's being covered up by the extra refraction on this.
Well,
so
that's where they're wrong.
Yeah, so they had two positions. Yeah, come on.
No, I was going to say the inversion layer pushes the horizon down, not up.
Correct. Absolutely correct, yes.
I'm not sure what they're trying to argue, because, like, you basically, like you said, you need to squish all of Ramsey into those pixels.
Yep, exactly, into this space here.
I don't see how that's possible with any sort of, like, atmospheric conditions.
Yeah, it's impossible, isn't it? I mean, that would be super.
Well, I don't know if it's impossible, but it's like,
actually,
you know,
you're right.
have to have, you need a very specific atmosphere.
You're absolutely right. Of course, some of these weird layers, these inversion layers, they have such a slope at some points it becomes sort of infinite, doesn't it? So in fact, actually, you can get the most amazing effects in a few pixels of stretching. Yeah. So yes, you're right. You can actually get some amazing.
But you'd see evidence of that in the image, because all of the buildings would get squished in terms of, like, and you'd see like the shoreline and everything kind of being squished. So I mean, it literally makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, yes, quite.
And especially because it's happening every single day. So then you have to argue that mirage effect is happening every single day under, you know, very different temperature conditions every single day. I mean, it just, like, how you can actually think that that's a real thing, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's desperate, isn't it? It's absolutely desperate in the extreme to think you can pack the whole of Ramsey into this inversion layer. And as you say, the horizon, any refraction, any of the inversion layer refraction, as you've correctly modelled, and as you've shown me, and I've seen elsewhere, as I was showing in the things, it moves the horizon down, as you said, rather than up.
In both models, yeah.
When you've got an inversion layer, so that's something I perhaps didn't explain in the in my refraction starting off thing. The refraction that you do have here, the inferior mirage, I must admit, I have said in the past that this was absolutely where the real horizon was, and in discussions with Philip and looking at the ray tracing, in fact, and in discussions with Sean and Sly, actually, I've moderated my position slightly. I don't believe it's quite there. With Philip, we've calculated. Philip has shown in his modelling, and I've been looking as well, that this horizon is actually slightly lower than it should be, but it's not where Sly and Sean think it is. Sean, I think, and Sly are of the opinion. I think one of them was. They think that the if you go over to here, they think the I think it's Sean. One of them, I think, one of them thinks it's in the middle. The real horizon, geometrically, if there was no atmosphere, would appear in the middle of this layer. And I think the other one, Sean or Sly.
Well, if you pull up my images, you can show the audience.
I can. Yeah. Okay. I've got those somewhere.
Because it's kind of interesting.
Here we go. Yes. So this is the thing that Philip has modelled, and in fact, here's Philip's diagram. We haven't quite. I don't think we've quite
had a chance to actually go. Yeah, we don't really need to go through that in particular, but
it's just interesting. This is what
the images.
Okay, yeah, this is what Philip's been doing. It just shows the light rays that I was showing in that other diagram, and it shows you the bending. But yeah, okay, perhaps we're not quite ready to present that properly. But yes, so this is the result. Is that this is what we believe is the position of the using Philip's modelling here, which I'm hoping to reproduce in some separate independent code. Philip's showing here that if you take away the atmosphere, I think the one on the left is without any atmosphere.
Oh, it's with a standard atmosphere.
Oh, was it? Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. And the one, oh, right. Sorry. And the one on the right is with this inversion layer present. And this is what, and the pink area here is what happens to the. So with the standard atmosphere,
the hard horizon, yeah.
Yeah. So with the standard. Oh, right. But with the standard, then presumably this is being lifted up slightly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. So we got. Okay. So in fact, we don't have one without atmosphere. Right. Okay. So in fact, there's a third. Right.
I can do one without atmosphere.
Right. Okay. So right. So this is going to be complicating people. Poor people up there. I'm confusing them. Right. So we've got. Right. Let's do this situation. This one is with the standard atmosphere, with that graph that I showed you at one point. If people have been watching it from the start, this is with looming. So this is with looming, which means that everything's lifted up slightly. This, on the one on the right, is with an inversion layer that Philip added in. I don't think I think this is one you guessed, wasn't it? I found one that was what they claimed to model, but I don't think yours was quite the same, but it was similar, wasn't it?
It was very cool. I mean, I think it's honestly, it doesn't.
You thought it was
really
so close.
matter so
Okay,
much.
all right. I mean, okay. So Philip thinks so he added in the inversion layer that I was talking about at the start, and that means that the horizon actually moves. We'll have a proper hangout about this substation when we've got our maths.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, so we can tell, because thought it'd be very interesting hangout for people because I've seen, I think Frank de Broer, I think that's his name, was asking. He was actually trying to research on the net to find out where the goddamn horizon really is if there's no atmosphere. And hopefully Philip and I, with a bit of work, and also because and I was having a bit of a debate with Sly and Sean about where it is as well, and we were disagreeing. So as obviously there's a big debate, and there isn't much information on the internet on actually where this is. Even with that site that I was showing you, it doesn't actually show you where the real geometric horizon is. Hopefully Philip and I come together and we'll be able to show you where, when you're looking at an image like this, where the geometric, if there's no atmosphere, horizon is. So on the one on the right is with the inversion there that Philip added in, which he's saying is quite similar to the, I think it is definitely quite similar to the models that we got in real world for the inversion layer. And so that's where the horizon appears. So the one on the left now, Philip's now telling me, is with the looming atmosphere. So it's been lifted up slightly. So the real one is somewhere between those two. Is where the without an atmosphere is perhaps we're going to just go for half. So somewhere in there is where the geometric atmosphere, geometric horizon actually is. If we could take away the atmosphere. So,
and I just like to point out to the audience that Riley made the claim that this inversion layer can't happen on a sphere, and these two images were derived from a sphere, and it works perfectly. In fact, it actually works better than the flat Earth, in my opinion, at modeling the inferior mirage. So there's that.
Yeah, that will be fascinating when we'll get around to doing that. Hopefully, within the next week or so, we'll have a definitive answer.
Well, I think actually, I'm pretty close to actually getting the Isle of Man with the miraging effects and the ray tracing. Maybe we should wait until that's actually finished and we can actually present.
Perhaps we'll do that before we put our foot in it or something. But yeah, here's a taster then. We believe in the next week or so, we will be able to tell you where the real horizon is from an image. So if we'll be able to take an image like the one we're looking at the Isle of Man, and we'll be able to, the Antony's composite, and then say, this, we believe that this is much as refracted, and this is where it actually is if you could take away the atmosphere, which would be quite something actually. That would be quite and that's something you can't find on the internet actually, even if you go and researching papers and things, as Frank de Broer tried to do, and obviously hopefully would see if we can get some agreement with Sean and Sly, who think the and that's because it is obviously a debating point. We're not quite sure yet where exactly it is, so it's just not unreasonable. People have opinions on this. Where the actual physical horizon is. So
it's definitely, the horizon is definitely below eye level. That's for sure.
Oh yes, that's a good point. That's what the yellow line is, isn't it? Yes. That's
exactly.
This yellow line is the zero, the eye level of the observer. Let me go to a little diagram just to make sure absolutely people know where that is. Let's draw my little thing up here. Demonstrate where have I done that? Somewhere up here. No, it's not. It's down here. I was doing a bit of spherical geometry. Here we go. Right. So this diagram, I know everybody's bored with.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone's sick of seeing this thing.
So there is the dip angle. This is this line here. That line there is the yellow line we were just looking at just there. That yellow line there.
That object's fairly tall.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. This one. So this is what there's the 0 degree horizontal from the observer, and that's what we try to draw. And obviously, this is to scale. If this is to scale, that is a good few 1,000 feet up in the air. But it gets the principle. So there's the dip angle, and so from the blow to the horizon, and so here there's the dip angle. Though I think we've drawn it in meters here, we could tell you what. Yes, and that's actually correct. That if you look on the composite, I haven't. Yes, that's what I mean to do actually with my website. I will actually be including all the eye level tangents, and you will see that this is indeed where it is. So, for instance, on the Isle of Man, where has it gone? I was just looking at. There we go. So the 0 degree, it will be somewhere. Whoops. No, it's a bit higher.
Yeah, I think it's higher.
Yeah, it's higher. Yeah, it is.
It actually might be above that like plateau thing, but I'm not sure.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah, I think I did work it out somewhere. It is actually, I think something like that is where the it's halfway. It was halfway up. In fact, I do have actually a proper thing for the Welsh. Here, for instance, I drew it in here. This is the wind turbine image that Ramsey took of, but he got wrong. Of course, originally he didn't. He mistook which mountains these were. I had to point those out to him before he got that right. Well, he didn't get it right.
Wasn't this the cross section he took at like an angle relative to the observer? So like the perspective was all wrong. This like dip that he tried to point out in the middle of these two mountains. Like he did like a slice on Google Earth, and it was like going diagonal to the observer.
That's right. He found one spot, but he didn't realize, of course, they crossed over. So yes, trying to find the lowest point, and he ignored the fact there was a mountain in front that was actually obscuring the dip that he found. So he got this completely wrong because, of course, he can't do these calculations. He just tried to find the lowest point here, and of course, he didn't realize there was another mountain in front that, in fact, made it all higher. And so because I got this,
I mean, his disaster. Dip. The problem is the dip or the slice of the land that he took was actually at an angle relative to like the field of view.
Exactly.
So it was not in perspective at all.
Yeah, exactly. And that means if you're going to do that trick of trying to find the lowest bit of land, you then have to look through the entire line of sight from the observer to that point, and then see if there's anything else obscuring it. And of course, he didn't do that because he's sloppy. Well, he didn't understand that. That's what he had to do, of course. But so anyway, so if you do work it out correctly, this, for instance, is the dip angle for Ramsey's image of from Blackpool to, I think it was from Blackpool. I forget what it is now. Is it from Blackpool? Yes, from Blackpool to the mountains.
That's one of those piers.
And of course, he didn't get the mountains right. To the Penny Clodiau and Moley Park. He actually initially thought it was mountains well another 20 miles behind these. He thought they were showing here, but got that completely wrong. Anyway,
I'm really glad you guys figured that out, because I was like trying to get the data to do a rendering of this, and I was like just banging my head against my computer because it was just too much memory to get all of those mountains in there.
Right. So the dip angle for the I think when this is of course dependent on your height. This dip angle is only dependent on your height, and because Ramsey was only at about 11 meters or something, it's quite small here. So this is smaller than it would be for Anthony's observation, of course. Because Anthony's at 35 meters, Ramsey was only at about 10. No, I think it's less than that. It was about 6 meters actually, or something. So this angle is much smaller. So this is much smaller than the dip at the where the 0 would be for. And it's not to scale. This is zoomed in differently, so you can't really. But it just makes the point here. I've worked it out for this one. I could quickly work out. Oh, sorry, no, it's for the Isle of Man thing. I will be doing that in the near future, but possibly I will do that. It's going to be. It's going to be somewhere up here. I will go away and do the calculation, draw it in on the things. It's somewhere about there.
It'll be interesting to compare to see with my modeling to see if it makes sense.
Right, and so there would be the dip angle, and that would be the eye level observer. Yeah, okay. I think probably we probably really covered everything in that thing, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, then
part of the story is it's impossible for dirty air or inversion layers to hide all of that land. That's the key message. Yeah, the key message is the claim by Anthony that this little gap here, which is the size of the inversion layer, which is only at that distance, is only, I think for this one here,
I worked this out. This is only 15 meters. In other words, if you were to go to that point, that height represents at that cone only 15 meters. At that distance. At that distance. So remember, this is what the flat earthers don't do. They don't work out the difference in distance. That's why Ranty, as people may know, drew red lines over that whole image. But that presumes it's all at the same distance, and all this is not at the same distance. And so the basic message is you cannot hide 64 meters of hidden Ramsey in just this small area here. And that's, of course, because the Earth is curved, and this is obscuring it, and even allowing for, as Philip has shown, with refraction, in fact, the horizon is actually slightly lower due to the inversion layer, because we do know there's because we can see this inversion layer here. We know there's an inversion layer there. We know that's pulled down the actual horizon by a little bit, but you still can't pack the whole of Ramsey. And I know that this is 64 meters because I've worked out the resolution. I know the angle per pixel in this image, and so I know for every pixel, if I know the distance of the thing I'm looking at, I can work out how high things. So I can work out exactly any pixel position on. Whoops, I shouldn't have done that. Any pixel position on here, providing I know what I'm looking at, I can work out how high. So this point here, this little house or something, or something like the Morgoth Lighthouse. If I know how far it is away, I can then say how many meters, and that's why, for instance, I can resolve. Here's a house. I know that this is house at Bala-Canal. I mean, I know that that's 23 meters, and that agrees with the image. I know these individual houses, and I can even say, as I did in my presentation, that I knew this house at Bala-Canal here, this one here. I can say from that image that that is 23 meters wide from this image, because I know how far it is away, how many pixels it is wide, and because I know the angular resolution of this image, I've worked it out by comparing mountains and things. I can say that's so many degrees from the number of pixels, and then I go and I check that 26 meters. In another part of this presentation, I did this, and then I went and checked what it was on Google Earth, Google Drive, what's it called? The Google Drive-by thing. Sorry, I almost forget the name of that thing. Path View, Street View. I actually checked that, and for momentarily I thought I was wrong, but then I realised that in fact it was at an angle, and in fact that's 26 meters wide. This is quite a big house, and in fact if you take the angle, correct for the angle coming in, as I then eventually did, in fact it's exactly right. So that represents 26 meters. And that's been verified. So I think people don't appreciate just how zoomed in you are. And in fact, these four houses that were ominous, that's 100 meters wide, and from there to there. And those four houses that we were misidentified at one point. So we got very high resolution here, and that's 26 meters, guys. And that's, you're not going to fit the whole of what's missing of Ramsey. So we know exactly what the size of these things are going on here. You cannot fit the missing 65 meters of Ramsey into into that little bit of inversion layer. So that's
unless you have incredibly odd atmospheric conditions, which can't happen every single day.
Okay, I think we'll end on that. So thank you very much, Philip, for joining in and contributing.
Sure thing.
And thank you very much, people, for bothering to come and listen.